let's talk for a moment, or if you will, let me talk for a moment. And by the way, I beg your indulgence. Put this on 1.5 speed for the usual reasons. I'm just working out my ideas as I go here. Um, I've talked before about the situation with what are the so-called lolcows. The lolcows, and we had a working definition of a lolcow given in a prior video. That it's somebody who is is so cringe and such an embarrassment, and but that you obtain some entertainment from seeing how cringe he is, and you milk the LOLs. Hence, he's a lol cow. All right. I'm not sure why I had to define it again, but there you have it. Just I guess so we know where we're starting from. I really think there's something quite profound about the emergence of lol cows. It's not that there haven't been people who are lol cow like before the internet, but the internet seems to facilitate the lol cow mentality, the lol cow psychology, and the issue is, I think the fascination, my fascination with the lol cow, is not from a point of view of superiority. It's not me saying, "Oh, I would never be like that. I could never do. I'm cooler than that." It's rather from this sort of there, but for the grace of God go I kind of mentality. And I also find there is a certain weirdly cathartic effect at seeing a lol cow do his thing. It's what it reminds me of are when the show Jackass was on TV, and I would always watch and the ridiculous stunts that they would do. And there were the movies too. I think I've talked about this before, and it was always it wasn't just amusement, or it was amusement. I would laugh my head off, but I think there was something about the idea of willfully hurting yourself in some really ridiculous way, and watching somebody do that was relatable. That was there was some similarity there with all of this. I never watched any of those American Idol type shows all that much. Could never really get into the whole. It just didn't speak to me. But one thing I always did really love was seeing people come on who just bombed, who couldn't sing, couldn't carry a tune, and some of them were doing it on purpose. Some of them it was just they were just having fun. Like, they knew how bad they were, and they were just having fun with it. For others, though, I think they didn't know. They had no idea. They thought they were really good, and so they came on and performed and just went all out. And it was the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing, the same catharsis for me. When you see people like that just making a fool of themselves, but not. But lacking awareness of it. I guess that we have a lol cow inside of us, or I do anyway. I'm aware of being a lol cow, on at least some level. I'm aware that there have been times, and there will be times where I make a fool of myself. Um, and I'm aware. I mean, there is so much about the internet. There's so much about social media that's like a combat zone. It's like, people just get on and insult each other, and it's there's a lot of rage bait and stuff. But I think as I've said before, I've uh, the the idea of, in my latter years, as I'm getting older, that I would get more self-conscious about myself, about my looks, about my uh, the flaws in my face and in my body, and and so forth. Uh, that 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 these things really didn't bother me very much. I mean, I never thought I was a beautiful person, but I when I was like when 10 years ago, when I was 10 years younger, 15 years younger, I didn't even think about it. I've always been a performer. I've always had the desire to perform, and as I said in a prior video, an somewhat exhibitionistic um, sense, or impulse, I should say, an exhibitionistic impulse, but also a desire to just sort of melt into the furniture and not be seen. So those two warring forces inside of me. The lolcow is somebody who just doesn't have anything, who is just the exhibitionist, right? He wants his face out there. He wants to be performing. He wants to be seen. He wants to create a spectacle of himself. And I mean, there are people who are like that. Every stage actor is like that. Every screen actor is like that. Everybody who aspires to be an actor, or has an actor's bone in his body, or a performer's bone in his body, is like that. And for that brief period of time when I was doing stand up, open mic stand up, I was there was something to me about the whole idea of bombing that was just hilarious. I never got over, you know, I never thought, well, boy, I'm really going to knock them dead. They're going to, they're going to just crack up. I'm going to make them crack up. I was always more of a performance art kind of mentality. Like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do something that's funny, that I think is funny. And they might think it's funny, or they might not think it's funny. And if they do laugh, or if some of them laugh, that's great. But if nobody laughs, then that's also fine. And there's also the kind of there's the type of performance art that is almost like aggressively courting the hostility of the audience. And that is something that I have to say I have some respect for. I think that can be done. There can be an art to that. It's not something that and Sam Hyde has said that he prefers it. He has gone on the record a couple of times saying he prefers situations where he knows the crowd is going to hate him, and it's like he just thrives off of that energy. You can go back and see times where he's done like an open mic night in front of an incredibly liberal crowd, and has gone up and made fun of a black kid who got shot by a policeman, for and then immediately was embraced by the liberal press, but he just points out the various thuggish things that the black kid did, and the audience all hates him and they boo him, but he just keeps persisting with it. And other times where he just gets up and says something that he knows isn't going to resonate with the crowd. I have mad respect for that kind of thing. Just courting the hatred and the vilification of the audience. There's an art to that, but the lolcow, it seems like he's different. A lolcow would be somebody who would have that kind of effect, but not intend to. Because it seems like to be a lolcow, the part of the psychology of the lolcow is that he's it's his lack of awareness, his lack of self-awareness. And my interest in watching them, my interest in seeing people comment on them, and I'm not going to name any names here, but my interest in it all stems from this, this strange kind of catharsis that I get from, and it's a catharsis that comes from relating to how it feels to be, I don't know, to just like stick your face in a nest of briars, or just do something really stupid and really painful, something that's really going to hurt yourself. Like the jackass stunts, like what they end up doing there. It's something similar to that, except it's, on a psychological level. It's what the lolcow does. He's not aware of it. It's his lack of awareness that distinguishes the lolcow from the performance artist, who is aware of what he's doing, or the Andy Kaufman type of performer, where part of the whole point of his performance is that the jokes aren't funny, right? Or they sort of they keep calling it. The whole idea is to make you uncomfortable. The whole idea is, or to amuse you by making you uncomfortable, or not giving you what you think you're going to be given, or just making a joke that's really dumb and really obvious, and acting all guileless about it. I think there's something, though, that in the pre-internet age, certainly in the pre-social media age, it was a lot harder to obtain lolcow status. You could still do it, but you were not like, you didn't have the option of just putting yourself in front of the world. Just putting yourself out there in front of people and, forcing yourself down people's throats Now, they don't have to watch you. Nobody has to watch you. And if you're if you're a relatively unknown person, they probably won't even know who you are. But still, there's the capability of it that's there. And that wasn't there in the pre-internet times. In the pre-internet times, it was it's so wild to think of how different it was when there wasn't a record of there wasn't like a place you could go with a click of a button to find a record of what's going on right now, what this person is doing right now, or what the news is telling us right now. You had to actually, it was easier to get away from things, but it was also a lot harder to grab people's attention. You had to do it IRL, which some people still do that. Some lolcows still, or even performance artists, or comedians, or whatever you want to call them, exhibitionistic types who are either self-aware or not self-aware. Sometimes they do their stuff in a real life setting, but in the pre-internet age, if you did that, then it might, you might cause a stir briefly, and then you recorded yourself, and then you could watch yourself later, with on your VCR. But there was no way of making it so that that instance in time was something that could be placed on a thing like the internet or like social media, where it's there. The internet is forever, and you can't just leave it behind. And if you don't want to leave it behind, if you want to keep getting buzz, it's easier to do that now. It's easier to make a spectacle of yourself. What drives a lolcow? I think what drives a lolcow is, obviously it's a desire for attention. But where does that come from? I guess that depends on the person. As I said, some people just like to perform. Some people it's just in their blood. It's just what they like to do. But I think we live in a time where lolcows are being facilitated. It's almost like they are the true relic of our time, because when you have somebody who wants to perform and that person lacks self-awareness, won't countenance the idea that maybe he's not that interesting, or he's not that good, or he's not that funny, or he's not that interesting. I guess I did just say that. Did I repeat myself there? And of course that's everybody who's on the internet, everybody who's got a YouTube channel, even if it's just as 5 or 6 people who watch it, every one of those people is at least on the continuum, on the lolcow continuum. You may mostly avoid being a lolcow, but there's a part of you that isn't entirely self-aware. And there are always people out there very interested in scorning you. There is no shortage of scorn on the internet. There is no shortage of ridicule on the internet. And people can be very, very mean on the internet. I mean, they can be mean in real life too, don't get me wrong. But anonymous commenters on the internet can say a lot of things, and they can make fun of people's appearance. And there's something, just on a primal level, if you get called fat, if you get called ugly, if they talk about how if they talk about how old you look, I guess those are the three things, old, ugly, and fat. If you're at least one of those three, then people can really, a lot of people really feel free being as mean as they want to be. And for that, at that time, and I've had experiences like this before myself, I've had people make fun of me. I know it's hard to believe because I am, generally speaking, such a together kind of guy, and very entertaining and very attractive. But even somebody like me, even somebody like me occasionally has people make jokes about me or make fun of me. And yeah, there's something more I want to say about all this, though. Like, I think I think there might be something about about the lack of happiness today that stems from these various factors that we have. We have the means of putting ourselves out there in front of the world, and yet how can it not be a letdown ultimately? How can you ultimately find anything satisfying about anything that you're doing right now? And so when you accrue haters, it's like when they're talking to you, they're putting you down, they're making jokes at your expense, whether it's about your looks or about something else. Then in a way, it's like you're hearing they're talking to your soul, and you're talking to your soul. They're speaking. They are what makes their comments hurt is that you feel like they're true. That's what comes of vulnerability. When you're vulnerable, when you're willing to be vulnerable, then you get you get treated this way, oftentimes. So, um, so I think that's all I'm going to say about it right now. Uh, you know, I'm wondering if I want to go on like this, or if I just want to, you know, it's not like it's not like it's going to make a huge seismic difference if I stop recording videos. And part of me still wants to, but at the same time, I wonder just um, if it isn't feeding an addiction that is ultimately harmful. You know, it's chasing after approval, chasing after the likes, chasing after the hearts, you know, chasing after I think there's something really kind of there's something kind of not healthy about it. And that's all I'll say right now.